Okay, wanted to look at this. So we go through predictions, and what I really wanted to sort of get at is my prediction and then Sean's prediction for like what do we we're not there yet. We're definitely seeing more activity in the market, which is great. I think the affordability has returned somewhat, but in order to get back to that market that we're used to, the feeding frenzy will not happen. And here are my predictions until
Mhm.
at least fixed rates drop under 4%. So right now they're about 4.5. Prime rate drops to 4.7. We're at 5.2, and overnight rate at 2.5. So
We're at
Sean,
5.45 for the prem rate. You're already baking in the
sorry,
January rate cut.
the January rate cut. Yeah, yeah. So
You're a
we
week
have.
ahead, 2 weeks
Uh,
ahead.
I know I'm like wishful thinking, right? But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we'll get that rate cut of at least 25 basis points in January, despite the
Yeah.
employment numbers that came out. Sean, what do you think in terms of like feeding frenzy? That's where we were. It was crazy. Are we going back there? What
Yeah.
environment do we need to get back there?
Yeah, I think well, I don't think we get it this year. I don't think like in terms of feeding frenzy, I'm thinking 100,000 plus units a year. And that's
In the
for the
GTA,
Toronto
right?
Real Estate
Yeah.
Board. Yeah, Toronto Real Estate Board last year, 2024, was around 67,000 units. So, and I think the record is somewhere around 115,000. So we're well below
Yeah.
record frenzy territory that we remember back in 2021, and then previous to that 2016 was pretty crazy as well. And so those eras, I don't think we're headed back to that this year. Just the unknowns, the interest rates will not fall far enough for that to be the case if we're just
Yeah, the
basing it
predictions are
only
more like
interest rates.
if they hit that sort of that low level, around 2%, 2.5% for the overnight rate, it's most of the projections that will come in sort of will get there by Q4, which would support your idea or argument that we won't get back to a feeding frenzy this year. So based on all the economic forecasts that we have sort of available to us, I would agree that we won't see it this year because we won't get to that. We won't meet that interest rate criteria.
Yeah, I think if we have interest rates fall, that we could have a recession this year. That is on the docket for many
Yeah,
people
we've sort
are
of skirted it.
worried about that.
We have economists, Benjamin Tall said like we were in a recession already, or we are in a recession now. Now
Well,
they're talking
per
about
capita recession, per capita GDP, so number of people versus how much, because we added so many people.
right.
Are If we didn't add those people, then we would have had a recession essentially.
Yeah. Or yeah, the economic circumstances said that we were in a recession like last summer, according to
Right.
Ben Tall. And then now we're talking about a second recession or further of this recession. We can't even get the economists to agree where we are financially as a country.
Well, I think, it's kind of leading into our next point as well. But depending on what happens in the US and depending on which industries are most affected here in Canada by what happens next, then we could have a recession in Canada. But I also think that it's going to be based on certain industries, right? Will we have an oil and gas recession? That's going to really hurt um Alberta, for example.
For
We
sure.
would see property values probably decrease there. And that affects everybody in Canada, not just Alberta, but most acutely in Alberta. But here in Toronto, we've got a lot more financial jobs. Will the banks cut people? Will they
Sure.
take an opportunity to lay off people? Does a new administration in Canada, a new government in Canada, do they lay off some workers to try to cut costs there as well? So depending on what happens, and here we go with our tariff talk, and we're less than a week away from finding out what actually might happen.